Let's be honest, no amount of inspiration is going to cut it at this point. There's no quote I can read to you that will inspire and encourage you enough to muster up the strength needed to close out this unprecedented school year. We're at the point where we're simply running on grit. Each moment, every next step can feel like a grind. And if we're fully transparent, most of us feel like there's not much left to put to the grindstone. It feels like we've given all we've got, and there's just nothing left in the tank. But here's something I know about us that you might not be able to see at the moment. We are going to make it. Come hell or high water, we're going to cross that finish line at the end of May. Let me remind you of who you are and what you've accomplished this year. Students, you've experienced things in the last year that all of us as adults wish you never had to go through. If we could take it all away, we would. But the truth is, we can't. Instead, you've had to endure a pandemic that you didn't fully understand. And quite honestly, neither did the adults around you. But in spite of it, like the phoenix from ashes, you rose. You were resilient and you adapted to whatever the year required of you. You overcame. You may not be able to see it at the moment, but decades from now, you'll look back and realize this was a foundational moment in your life. You seized the moment. Teachers and certified staff, you weren't trained for this. There wasn't a class in your formal education that taught you how to become a virtual educator or administrator overnight. But you didn't let that stop you. Literally, with 12 hours notice, in March of 2020, you enabled what would have been previously thought to be impossible to become possible. And you haven't stopped since. You're more capable than you ever could imagine. And without you, we would still be stuck in the spring of 2020. Support staff, it is not an understatement to say, if it hadn't been for your flexibility, we wouldn't have had a chance of surviving this thing. You became Swiss Army knives overnight. When asked to do something completely different than what you signed up for, you did it without hesitation. When we look back on this, decades from now, you will be remembered as the spine of steel that allowed everything else to be held up. Parents, you've had it tough this year. Not only have you been responsible for the well-being of your child, but you've played an integral role to their education experience like never before. You were asked to make impossible decisions, from determining which learning style your child would engage in to adjusting your work schedule so you could help your child with homework during NTI. All this while also meeting the countless demands in your lives. Our community, you are the soil from which we grow and the chest from which our heart beats. None of us knew what lay ahead of us on that notorious day in March of 2020. But in spite of everything we've been through, you were there. Because of your support, we've gotten through this together. It hasn't been easy, but it's been possible because of you. With that, here's all I have for us as we head into the final days of the school year. We've only got one option as the final quarter mile of this marathon looms just around the corner. Keep going. It doesn't matter if we run, walk, crawl, or if we have to drag each other over the finish line. What matters is we get across, and we get across it together. What's been true from long before the pandemic began still holds true now. No matter what the day holds, pandemic or not, it's always a great day to be a Hawk.